You've heard this line 1,000 times, right? And God saw the light, that it was good. It sounds so simple, so basic. But what if I told you that locked inside those 5 little words is one of the deepest secrets about the very structure of reality? I mean, a literal blueprint for how the cosmos balances itself, and maybe, just maybe, a guide for how we can balance ourselves. Today, we're going to find the key and unlock that secret.
So here's how we're going to do this. First, we have to understand the fundamental problem, this primordial conflict that sits at the heart of creation. Then, we'll uncover the secret solution hiding in plain sight in that phrase, ki tov. After that, we're going to do a deep dive into the mechanics of this thing we'll call the middle pillar. We'll even translate it into some really cool modern ideas, and then, this is the best part, we'll bring it all the way home to see how this cosmic pillar exists inside every single one of us.
All right, let's get into it. Section 1. See, to really get the solution, you first have to appreciate the scale of the problem. The mystical tradition tells us that the universe wasn't just born into some peaceful, quiet harmony. No, not at all. It was born into a state of incredible tension, a cosmic tug of war between 2 massive, opposing, and yet totally essential forces.
And it all spirals out from this one verse. On the surface, it's just a statement. God makes light, looks at it, gives it a thumbs up. Simple. But the sages, especially in the Zohar, they looked at this and they asked a much, much better question. What does it actually mean to see that something is good? Was God just, admiring his work? Or was something active happening here? A creative process hiding right there in the open?
Okay, so to get this conflict, you gotta meet the 2 main players. On one side, you have the right pillar, the force of Chesed. Just think of this as pure, infinite, unbounded giving. It's expansion without limits, a drive to just pour out endlessly. It's like a supernova, constantly exploding outward. Then on the other side, you've got the left pillar, the force of Gevurah, and it's the polar opposite. It's all about judgment, containment, and discipline. It's the force that creates boundaries, that gives things form and definition. You see, without Gevurah, Chesed is just chaos, a messy flood of energy. But without Chesed, Gevurah is just an empty box.
Now here's the kicker. These 2 forces didn't start out playing nice. As the great mystic Baal HaSulam puts it, they were in a state of machloket, of conflict, a total cosmic stalemate. The right pillar, Chesed, wanted to just flood everything with its light of mercy, which would basically dissolve all the boundaries. And the left pillar, Gevurah, wanted to impose its strict judgment on everything, which would snuff out the light completely. Each one, in its pure state, wanted to completely cancel the other out. You literally can't build a functioning universe on that principle alone.
And that brings us right to section 2. So if reality is built on this unsolvable conflict, this cosmic war between endless expansion and total contraction, how in the world does anything exist? Well, the answer, the truly elegant solution, is hidden right inside our verse. This is where the magic happens.
So let's just sit with that question for a second, because it really is the whole ballgame. You have 2 absolutely essential ingredients for reality, right? But they are fundamentally at odds with each other. It's like trying to build a house out of pure fire and pure ice. How do you do that? How does the universe not just fly apart?
And the absolute genius of the cosmic blueprint is that it doesn't pick a side. It doesn't say, oh, mercy is better than judgment, or expansion is the way to go. Because picking one would create a lopsided, totally unsustainable reality. No, the solution is to introduce a third principle, a mediator, an active synthesis that doesn't just manage the fight, it actually transcends it.
And here it is. This is the secret. The Zohar drops this absolute bombshell. It teaches that when the Torah says God saw the light, ki tov, that it was good, it's not using good as an adjective, like a description. It's a noun. Good is the name of this third principle. Ki tov is the middle pillar, the Amuda de Mitzaya. That very act of declaring something good was the act of creating the balancing force that allowed the right and left to work together and allowed all of creation to finally exist.
Okay, so now we know what it is, this middle pillar, this good. So for section 3, let's get our hands dirty. Let's look under the hood and figure out the mechanics. How does this divine technology of harmony actually work?
So let's break down the phrase, starting with the very first word, vayar, and he saw. The mystics are clear on this. This is not a passive verb. This isn't just looking at something that's already there. This kind of seeing is an intensely active, creative process. It's the conscious act of looking at 2 opposites, the raw light of Chesed and the strict container of Gevurah, and intentionally weaving them together. It's synthesizing them into something new, something that actually works. It's the divine focus that literally brings order out of chaos.
And what do you get when you do this? When you perform this act of seeing, of integration, you get a state called shlemut. It means wholeness or completion, and that is the signature of ki tov. When a system achieves shlemut, it means it's perfectly balanced, it works, it's sustainable. Nothing is missing, nothing is in excess. The war between right and left has been resolved into a higher, functional unity. On a cosmic scale, that is the definition of good.
So here's the whole system laid out. You've got the right pillar, Chesed, always pushing out. You've got the left pillar, Gevurah, always pulling in. And the middle pillar doesn't just show up later. It emerges right there in the middle, between them. In the language of the Sephirot, this middle pillar is called Tiferet, which means beauty or harmony. And it's not passive. It actively draws from the giving of the right and the containment of the left, and it blends them. It's not a compromise. It's a whole new, beautiful reality that's way more functional than either side could ever be on its own. So what's the point of all this? Why is this balance so critical? Because it's the only way to create a stable, sustainable channel for that divine energy, for that primordial light to flow through every level of creation. The middle pillar is like a perfectly tuned conduit. It lets the light shine both lama ala ul mata, both in the highest spiritual worlds and all the way down here in our physical reality at the same time. Without it, the light is either a destructive flood or it's completely blocked. But with it, reality can actually work.
Now we get to have some fun. Let's jump into Section 4. I know this can all feel really profound, but maybe a little out there. So, to bring this ancient idea down to earth, let's try translating the principle of the middle pillar into a couple of modern-day analogies.
Okay, check this out. For all you tech people, think of it in terms of cosmic engineering. The middle pillar is like a sophisticated load balancing system. You have one data stream, Chesed, that wants to flood the network with infinite data. You have another, Gevurah, that wants to restrict all traffic. The middle pillar is the central processor that intelligently regulates both, pulling just enough from each to create a stable, coherent system that doesn't just overload and crash. Now, for the gamers out there, think of it as the perfect character build. You could dump all your skill points into pure attack power, right? That's Gevurah. You'd hit like a truck, but you'd be a glass cannon. Or you could put everything into defense and healing. That's Chesed. You'd be unkillable, but you couldn't do any damage. The middle pillar is that central skill tree, the one that lets you synergize both, creating a champion who is both incredibly powerful and incredibly resilient. It's the only way to build a character that can actually win the game.
And that leads us perfectly into our last and, I think, most important section, the pillar within us. Because this huge cosmic blueprint, it's not just about how stars and galaxies are put together out there. It's also a deeply personal map of our own inner world. It's a guide to how we can achieve our own shlemut, our own state of wholeness.
And this is the part you really have to hear. We are each a universe in miniature. The exact same forces of Chesed, that expansive, emotional giving part of us, and Gevurah, that disciplined, logical, restrictive part of us, are at war inside us every single day. The middle pillar is not some abstract theory. It's a living, breathing reality. It's meant to be the central, stabilizing column of your soul, and the whole path of wisdom is about learning how to build it.
Our tradition even gives us a human model for this principle, the patriarch Jacob. The sages say that Jacob is the Beriah HaTichon, the middle bolt that ran right through the center of the tabernacle, holding the whole sacred structure together as one. Think about it. He had to harmonize the legacy of his grandfather Abraham, who was pure Chesed, and his father Isaac, who was pure Gevurah. Jacob's entire life was about that struggle, and ultimately the synthesis of these two opposing forces. He became the pillar of balance for his whole family, and through them, for the world.
So how do we do it? How do we build our own inner pillar like Jacob? Well, it's about the conscious choices we make every day. It's about balancing our sharp, clear logic with our deep, flowing emotions. It's integrating that strict self-discipline with a powerful sense of compassion for others and for ourselves. It's learning how to harmonize our deep need to give with the equally important ability to receive. It means finding that perfect middle ground between grinding work and essential rest. And maybe most of all, it's about uniting our highest spiritual beliefs with real, practical, hands-on action in the world. Every single one of those is an act of construction. You're building your middle pillar.
So that brings us to the end, and to the only question that really matters. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a call to action. I want you to really think about your own life right now. Where do you feel that pull between two extremes? That conflict between expansion and restriction? Is it in your job, your relationships, your health? Find it, name it, and then ask yourself, what would it look like to build a middle pillar right there? What's one step you could take this week to create harmony where there is conflict? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Part S. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week.
If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.